Welcome to Breathe California TV. My name is Terry Trumbull. I'm a volunteer for Breathe California, which is the lung health organization throughout the state. We have 6 different chapters in each of the different areas, and just our chapter in this county helped 150,000 people with breathing difficulty, asthma, hay fever, COPD, smoking, you name it. But the focus of this program is on preventing damage to your lungs. And I think you'll learn a lot staying with us today. Our guest today is Pamela Crouch of Prospect Silicon Valley, which is working hard, just as Breathe California is, to reduce the amount of air pollution by reducing the amount of energy we're using. We'll be talking with Pamela in about 30 seconds. See you then.
I have asthma, and so asthma, I can't do that many sports because I wheeze and then I have to take my inhaler. I can't do a lot of things other kids can do. What I learned at asthma camp is how to treat your asthma and don't hold back if you have asthma. Breathe California has made it easier for me to play sports and do other things that I couldn't do before.
Welcome back. This is Breathe California TV. I'm Terry Trumbull. I, as a volunteer, also chair the pollution prevention aspects of Breathe California. But the little ad that you saw, Asthma Camp, is such a sensational possibility. It just happens during the summer. But instead of having asthma sufferers having to compete with completely healthy people, we have them all together, and they can both learn about how to overcome asthma, but they're also competing on a similar physical level. So today we're talking with Pamela Crouch of Prospect Silicon Valley. Welcome.
Hi, Terry. Thanks so much for having me.
Well, just importantly, thank you for joining us. So Prospect Silicon Valley is right here in San Jose, but I would dare say an awful lot of our audience hasn't heard of the organization. Tell us about it.
So Prospect Silicon Valley, we are a nonprofit organization that helps entrepreneurs to commercialize their technologies, and we do that by helping them connect with cities, and we want them to get to market. So we help provide a path to market, which we're in Silicon Valley. Lots of startups,
high-tech capital of the world.
Lots of innovation.
This is logical to do for that.
Right. So the companies we work with, to be more specific, work in our focus areas of transportation, next generation building solutions, energy, and the environment. And we believe in these companies because they have solutions that can meet the challenges facing cities in the Bay Area and around the globe.
So lest anybody get confused by what in the heck is next generation building solutions?
So that is it is a broad topic, and in any of our areas we are open to finding people with new solutions. So that's kind of why it's a generic term, but this could be anything from providing natural off-grid lighting for buildings, making sure it's healthier air, overall environment for looking at people's health and wellness within buildings and where they work and where they live.
So to me, an example of what we don't want to do is the old San Jose City Hall at the Civic Center light rail stop. Built in 1970, it wastes so much energy that nobody will move into it. Mm-hmm. You're trying to change that. What other kinds of things would you do different in a building?
So some of the examples that I can give you are some of the innovators that we're working with.
And that's a better way to do it.
We have a group called Ray Labs that is demonstrating their technologies out of our innovation center, and they have a way to capture real-time data in buildings, so they can measure efficiency right then and there, helps detect leaks quicker, so that also helps us maintain resources. We have another group, S-Core, that they are capturing natural sunlight and bringing them into buildings, which has a multitude of benefits.
Yeah, I toured a few years ago. The electrical workers changed out the skylights in their building, which skylights by themselves replace lighting, but they also put wires in them to generate electricity, and they come up with all of their electricity in the building. I mean, if we're creative, there's an awful lot to be done.
Yes, there is. And another project, if we're talking about innovation and new solutions, is we have a project called Internet of Energy. And this is something we just launched. It's a CEC granted funded project.
So CEC
is the California Energy Commissions, as we're talking about energy. And this is a partnership with the College of San Mateo. We also have a startup called Jelly Growing Energy Labs, is what that stands for. And we're looking at advanced solar storage, because as you know, solar has mainly been effective during peak sunlight hours, and so they have an advanced solution that we'll be demonstrating for real-world applications of how we can harness that energy and distribute it better.
So I want to go back to Innovation Center. What is that, and where is it?
So it's called, this is where our business operates out of, where we have our innovators housed if they choose to need the demonstration space or the other facilities that we offer. And it's part of the San Jose Environmental Innovation Center, which is actually houses 3 tenants. So we are one, and there in that building we have our Technology Demonstration Center, which is what it's called. And we also have the Habitat for Humanity Restore next door to us, which is great, keeping excess materials out of landfills and repurposing donated materials. Also, the Santa Clara County Household Hazardous Waste Facility is also up as a part of the Innovation Center, and people can make an appointment and drop off household hazardous waste with them.
And then what do you guys do? Frankenstein type of experiments with it?
No, but our section of the building is 23,000 square feet, and with innovators and new companies that sign up with us, they have access to have we have shared lab facilities with equipment for precision labs or electronics. We also have office space. We have a shared open office area and conference rooms and a conference center that we also manage. And we have vehicle shop space for our transportation programs and a couple of specialized lab facilities as well. And there's a lot going on, and it's pretty exciting, and it's a really beautiful space. And the Innovation Center itself showcases a lot of great environmental benefits and new technologies that you can just come by and take a look.
So it seems to be a wonderful idea. You're helping people get started in business in the most high technology, most sophisticated area for doing startups. So what kind of things do you do to help these businesses?
So there's a few different ways that we support innovators, and when I say that we help with commercialization, and if you go to our website, you'll see that we're describing ourselves as a commercialization catalyst, and that's probably an unfamiliar term, and what it means is we are helping companies with a path to market, get customers, and actually start their businesses at a level beyond way we can separate ourselves from an accelerator, which typically a lot of startups start out at, because they help with coursework and coaching to get their business plans together. And then there's incubators, which is a very common term. Then you probably have heard a lot of incubators in Silicon Valley, and they invest in those companies. And for us, it's a bit beyond that. So we have a group of experts that are on our staff, and they have backgrounds varying from having led startups for a number of years to finance, engineering, energy efficiency specialists, marketing, and so on. And they are able to assist companies by assessing what are their needs, how can we help them, and how can we take them to the next level and actually get to market. And then the platforms we provide for them and the connections we provide for them is a really big part of our process. Because
so what do you mean by platforms?
So the platforms are demonstration platforms. So we have, I mentioned lab facilities earlier. So in our transportation work at our facility in San Jose, we have an intelligent traffic systems lab, or ITS lab. And this is a way for startups and other companies to come in and actually test new types of vehicle communications, vehicle to vehicle, vehicle to infrastructure. It's sort of the next step in advanced vehicle solutions, and which improves traffic flow. And by improving traffic flow, you're reducing emissions and drive time. And we also are going to have a vehicle simulator lab that is opening up, a group out of Germany from Aachen University. They're called ProspectSV. They will be operating that, and it's an open resource for innovators to use, which normally a simulation lab of this scale and of this type, research grade facility, is behind closed doors at R&D facilities or at universities and isn't accessible. So these are the kind of platforms that we have, and those are just the laboratory ones. And we also have the field scale demonstration platforms with our partners across the region. I mentioned the Internet of Energy project earlier, but we also have working with the city of San Jose, and we're also working with VTA to put in a real-world transportation innovation zone in North San Jose where these test applications can be tested in the real world.
So that's an amazing array of things you're doing. So let me start off more basic. What in the heck are you guys doing with all this car stuff? I mean, we think cars are made in Detroit or factories that, to avoid unions, have gone to the southern U.S. Nobody thinks of cars around here, but all of a sudden we've got Tesla, we've got you doing that, and it looks like most of the automotive technology investment is happening around here. Am I?
That's correct. Yes, every major auto manufacturer now has an R&D presence in Silicon Valley. So we've kind of heard the term Silicon Valley is the new Detroit, and there is a lot going on here because these car companies know that this is the hub of innovation and they can tap into the technology resources here. And when we're talking about advanced traffic communications, advanced technology for improving traffic flow, and especially a big part of it is safety. So a lot of embedded features in new vehicles that are being tested are really great safety features as well, because it's going to help cars to slow down at red lights, know if there's pedestrians. It's really exciting.
So we're talking with Pamela Crouch of Prospect Silicon Valley. I think she's probably as amazed as I am that we just zipped through 15 minutes. We've got another 15 left. We'll talk some more in about 30 seconds.
What it feels like to have an asthma attack is, well, you can't breathe and you can't tell anybody that you're having an asthma attack because you can hardly talk. You can maybe say 1 or 2 words, but you can't say much else. Breathe California has helped me come in contact with more asthmatics and more people who have the same case as I do. It's important to me because I don't feel like I'm alone in the fight against asthma.
Welcome back to Breathe California TV. We're talking with Pamela Crouch of Prospect Silicon Valley. They're one of the leaders, I think Pamela prefers catalyst, in getting this area to be cutting edge in a wide variety of technologies. So we spent a lot of time talking about cars, automobiles, transportation. What other areas have we neglected in the first half of the show?
Well, I just want to emphasize that one of the ways we are able to support innovators is we have a very strong network of partnerships with research institutions and cities and investors and corporate entities, a lot of corporate headquarters here for a lot of technology companies. And we have a very strong network so that any of our innovators working in, we mentioned transportation as one of the fields, but for energy and any other company that has a technology solution that could really help address environmental issues, we're going to be able to support them. And we have a lot of great people we can connect them with and a lot of other projects. And I know that this is still kind of in the transportation space, but one of the projects that we're currently working on is called the Bay Area Charge Ahead Project. And we are supplying EV charging infrastructure. And what I like about this project is that we're relieving known congestion hotspots in the charging network throughout the Bay Area, and can also add new charging infrastructure. And so this is sort of something that's more of our community impact work, so a little bit beyond of our exactly with the innovation support we provide, but it's helping to get past some of the restrictions and some of the reasons that are deterring folks from adopting electric vehicles, because it's going to help relieve range anxiety that a lot of folks are worried about when they're going to be looking at getting an electric vehicle.
Yeah, so we talked about off air that I teach energy policy and other environmental courses, and it's amazing how severe range anxiety is for students. Mm-hmm. They just are scared to death that they run out of electricity before they reach the next destination.
Right.
But everything I've seen indicates that typical Silicon Valley commutes, you can go to and from mm-hmm. work or to and from all of the kind of drives you take, except the 800-mile vacation to Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So show you how bad it's been for what I've seen is my city built a brand new library with 2 charging stations in front of it, and they're fighting over it.
Right.
Because there's just not enough charging capacity. Of course, they want it for free mm-hmm. rather than doing it at their home. But
right. So that's one of the interesting things that this program, which is another CEC grant-funded project, is looking at, is they're actually going to be collecting data to better understand and analyze the use of charging stations, and with the cities, mostly cities that are the site hosts for these new charging stations, is that they are implementing fee structures, because what you see sometimes are if it's not charged for users, they will just park their cars there and take up the space. So we want to be able to increase utilization. And another project that is one of our regional demonstration platforms is looking at demand charge use. So it's a project that is really going to try to increase smart charging. And while we're on the subject, I just have to touch upon one of our innovators called Connect My EV. He's one of our startup companies working with us, and he has a way to do hands-free charging, and it's using a conductive technology that's a lot more efficient, and it's another way to help people adopt EVs, because you can just park your car and walk away and not have to worry about plugging it in at home if you forget and getting to work the next day. And that's just another one of the fun companies that we get to work with.
Well, and we need innovative solutions like that.
Yes.
I just don't see, without charging for it, how we can possibly have public parking lots keep up with mm-hmm. the demand if it's free compared to paying for it in your home when you plug in.
Yeah.
So one of the things I think is great about your program is I was involved with an early Silicon Valley leadership group. It was called Leadership Silicon Valley. Group called the Environmental Partnership that started the Innovation Center. But when I toured it, it looked to me like the assumption was you just dump a bunch of startups together and that's good enough, they'll talk to each other. Mm-hmm. You guys have gone beyond that. Your job is just to reiterate,
yes.
With those startups, what are you doing to go beyond throwing them together?
So the champions I mentioned on our team who are looking at the areas that the startups need to improve upon to get to the next level, we have these partnership opportunities that I mentioned. Siemens Technology to Business is just one example of one of the companies we work with. And they do investments, they do other ways of bringing technologies for a global scale. And I'm trying to think of other examples that I could give you.
One of the things I just want to comment on, I promised you before the show I'd shut up and let you talk, and I'm doing the opposite. So I had a state agency, and we wanted to encourage recycling. Mm-hmm. And we hired somebody, because recycling is dominated by mm-hmm. cities. And he said cities will not be the first one to do something. Mm-hmm. There's too much risk to locally elected politicians for sticking their necks out and being the first one. Mm-hmm. Yet you've cited a whole bunch of situations where that hasn't been true, that cities are out doing things, and I think they deserve praise for it.
Absolutely. A lot of the cities, so especially with working with the city of San Jose, is they have their green vision and they really want to be at the forefront of creating a hub of innovation and supporting clean tech entrepreneurs. And what we are happy to be doing in our role between supporting innovators and connecting them to cities is we can say that these companies and their technologies, which through our platforms, they're able to validate those technologies. We can say that we have our backing. They're tried, true, tested, or will eventually get to that point. And the cities are excited about it. And a lot of the entrepreneurs that I talk to, what they really enjoy about leading a startup organization is that they have that ability to adapt and change and grow with the demand of whatever their audience is going to be. And in our case, it is mostly municipal partners. We also are connecting with that idea that you mentioned of putting a bunch of innovators in a hub and something will happen. Well, yes, that does occasionally happen, and a lot of that is catalyzed by the work that we're doing and the types of exclusive events that we throw for people within our network. And a recent example was an event we threw last week. We had one of our I mentioned ESCOR, the lighting innovators. They were demonstrating their technology at an event that we had held, and Proterra, which is the makers of all-electric zero-emission buses, was also there, and they're building a new building in Silicon Valley, and they saw this lighting technology that's off the grid and utilizing real natural light, and they got really excited about it and said, hey, do you want to come up to our facility and bid on the lighting for our building? And they said, sure. So even connecting the startups with each other does have a big benefit.
Yeah, I don't remember the name of the electric bus company, but it may very well be that one. Breathe California worked with the Gilroy School District to get them electric buses and work out protocol and maintenance and everything else, and I gather it's been quite successful. So I got to get my plug in here. The Department of Energy under President Obama has really helped the cities and schools do this, so that our annual Clean Air Awards have gone to places like Milpitas School District for putting solar in every parking lot that they've got. And San Jose probably has, again, correct me, but 2/3, 3/4 of their 1,000 vehicle fleet are now alternative vehicles, getting them off of gas. So it's pretty amazing stuff. So one of the things that I think is our future solution is smart growth. What kind of things are you doing there? Maybe you ought to explain what smart growth is, and then what kind of things some of your companies are doing.
So if you're going to say smart growth, like for us, we're thinking of connected cities, the Internet of Things. We're going to have access to data like never before, and being able to plan ahead and better implement solutions for how we get around. So that, again, that's more of an emphasis on transportation. But so we have ways that we can continue to move forward in building smarter, but also looking back at how we can change and retrofit and adapt. And when you mentioned the school buses, we have a company as well that we're also working with. Their name's Thompson Power. They'll be retrofitting diesel buses to be all electric. So we're also looking at reusing and repurposing ways to get around that.
And from your lung health and our audience's lung, that is spectacular.
Yes,
because
it is.
Diesel is the devil incarnate of air pollution. It's about 70% of the damage to your lungs comes from diesel, which is a toxic fuel.
Right.
Just additional praise. I think the original funding for a building for the Environmental Innovation Center came under Susan Hammer. Every mayor and council's continued it, and then the green vision really arose under Mayor Chuck Reed, where the head of the panel doing it was some guy named Licardo, ended up being the mayor as well. So you've just really uniquely had support for innovation in San Jose.
Yeah.
So tell me about the aspects of being a catalyst. My recollection is you had 3 different kinds of areas that you helped people in?
Yeah, so I mentioned that the connections are extremely important to the work that we do.
Now, connection means just
Between-
meeting. No,
Yeah.
you go ahead.
So, sorry, between our entrepreneurs and between our institutional research institutions, our investors, and then the corporate entities and our other partners, and then of course cities. So we're trying to make as many connections as possible that are going to help companies launch and get started on their path to impact. And then I mentioned our demonstration projects. That's one of our other main areas. And then the support we're able to provide for commercialization assistance, actually looking at business plans and the business aspect of what these startups need in order to get to the next level.
So we got about a minute and a half left. I haven't looked at my notes. What else am I supposed to ask you?
Well, then I can look at my notes. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Well, we just really are trying to emphasize that we are in a very unique position as an organization. We don't know of anyone else that is able to take the innovators and cities and other major groups and put them all together and see what comes of it. So we're really proud of all of our startup companies, and we're really, really grateful for all of our sponsors. And of course, we're really excited about the work we're doing in communities. So we have a lot of grant-funded projects where we're out there and we are making a real impact on communities.
So my suggestion is that annually in May each year, Breathe California, for the 9-county, 9 million people in the Bay Area, gives Clean Air Awards, and I would suggest you self-servingly apply for one.
Sure, absolutely.
So we got about 30 seconds left. Do you kind of want to summarize what you hope the audience picked up from this?
Well, I would just encourage people to try to learn more about who we are, what we're doing. Visit ProspectSV.org. If you are a startup company and you are working in one of our 4 focus areas, you can apply through our website. You can also fill out our Contact Us form and get in touch with me if you'd like a tour of our center or learn more about what we're doing. And I can always connect you to one of our project managers if you're looking to work more or expand in a specific area.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
So we've been talking with Pamela Crouch of Prospect Silicon Valley, a wonderful catalyst to keep the people of this area employed in ways that reduce energy use and develop alternative energy so we aren't so reliant on fossil fuels. Next week, we'll have something hopefully half as exciting as this. See you then.